The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Tuesday, June 26th, Wednesday, June 27th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, live in the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong, coming to you nightly on the SOR radio network and our brand new online home, Deep Talk Radio Network. We are also welcoming you to tonight's show. You can watch us live on Periscope.tv every Monday through Friday. And if you want to take a listen to our archives, guess what? They're free for you. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. It's that red button right there in front of you. Just hit that. I would appreciate that. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store that's going to be coming new and enhanced. Read up on the Encounter Online. That's coming new and advanced. And we got some other features coming very, very shortly. I'm excited about it. We welcome you to tonight's show. I hope you enjoy it as much as I will, because tonight we have one of our most popular guests on this show is award-winning author, movie producer, and music man. Ian Holt is back on the show, talking everything paranormal, strange, and weird. It's unscripted. We don't know where it's going. It's just the way we like it. So if you want to call in, we're doing the rarity tonight. We're opening up the phone lines to you. So if you want to call in, it's 1-702-302-4556. That's 1-702-302-4556. With Ian, We never script a show. It's all free for all. So if you're in one of the chat rooms and you don't want to call in, what you got to do then is just type your questions in capital letters. We will get to them. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we get to the Encounter Online, the strange news of the day with Everett Themer, telling us about the weird and strange news stories, and of course, the thought of the day. Ian Holt, it's been a month since we had you on, my friend, for the birthday show. Normally we have you on every 2 months. How you been doing?
How you doing, Dave? How you doing, everyone out there? I've been doing great. It's great to be back. I like this monthly thing. I think this is cool.
I'm a fan of it, too. Now, I can tell you right now, just for safety measures here, because we're all about safety here at the Mighty SOR, there is no one-chip challenge going anywhere. We are not doing any one-chip challenges. That hurt, my friend.
The classic of all shows, man. I thought you were a dead man. I thought you were going to keel over. I thought you were going to spontaneously self-combust. I thought you were going to be one of those pictures of just like a big pile of black ash and a hand and a foot or something in a chair. I really thought you were going to spontaneously combust like all the Spinal Tap drummers.
Oh, my gosh. It was close. I'm not going to lie. It was close. You know, I mean, when my earbuds, I've now switched to headphones in the brand new studio because this is your first show on here with us having the brand new studio. And you sound marvelous. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that, you know, I kept that chip box because I never, ever want to do that again. That hurt. But, you know, if for all of you who are rebels out there, take the Pocky One Chip Challenge. Take it, last the 5 minutes, because I had earbuds in, and after my arms went numb from my shoulders down to my fingers, and they were all tingly, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was a little worried about that when that happened, but it was when my ears started hurting around my earbuds. It felt like my ears were about to explode, man. And I remember I ripped my earbuds out because I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. And that was at about the 2-minute 10 mark.
The pain in your voice was unbearable. I mean, I was listening to it. I was like, oh, my God, is he going to die on the air? And you're like, and you're listening to your heart beat starting to race up. And I don't know, man. That was like one of the great pieces of radio of all time. You could have been on Jackass with that or something. But you look how you suffer. Look how you suffer to entertain your audience. Look at the pain you go through to entertain your audience. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like sadomasochistic radio. It's like you got to watch it. Like you probably come out and
yes,
like the gimp
I wouldn't say that far. I'm not wearing a leather mask, my friend. I'm not wearing a leather mask. It's funny. Gail says, "You had us all scared. You had us all scared." So, you know what? There's nothing to fear tonight. We're getting into the paranormal. We're getting into movies, music, wherever it goes. Hey, I wanted to say a big thank you to you, Ian, for the to you. You know, to have, you know, what an awesome birthday present that was last month when you brought on your good friend and music rock and roll Hall of Famer from Public Enemy, Keith Shockley, onto the show. And what amazed me,
that was my pleasure.
And what amazed me about that was, you know, his candid nature. You know, it's rare that you get a star of that size and magnitude, okay, who will talk candid and open about subjects, including the paranormal, which everybody loves to discuss, but nobody loves to talk about it publicly.
Yeah, and especially someone who's basing his whole career on being so ultra cool, and and that that he knows instinctively that this audience is cool too. You know what I mean? Because we get stereotyped as being a little nerdy, a little spacey, a little out there, a little different, and he just fit right in and just let his freak flag fly and didn't care. And that's the way Keith is. He's a very normal guy, and I think that's why his music reaches so many people, because he understands the average person. He empathizes and sympathizes with people in their situations, and that's why I think Public Enemy's music has been so, influential.
No, it was fantastic. It was, and what's weird is after that interview happened, I don't know how many times on Sirius XM where I was all of a sudden driving down the road and I would hear Public Enemy and Anthrax Bring the Noise.
Right.
I've heard that song more times in the last month on Sirius XM than I've heard in the last 20 years. It's unbelievable, the synchronicity,
right?
when synchronicity happens like that.
Or do we influence the universe by the power of our mind's untapped potential?
I don't know.
We create our own reality.
I really don't know. Ian.
But it does seem like, when stuff happens like that, like it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. Am I making this happen, or is this happening?
Yeah, that one's just absolutely baffling me, because, if you can't like Anthrax and Public Enemy coming together for Bring the Noise, then I question your musical ethics, or anybody's. But nonetheless, the fact that he was able to share some paranormal stories while on tour and admitted to getting freaked out in his own house by some ghost in his house that actually started, really coming to fruition. And, on the day of the show or the day before the show, how coincidental was that?
Well, also, it's also the anniversary of the passing of his mom, who was a very, very great lady. And I'd like to, say, in remembrance of Mrs. Boxley, or his real name's Boxley, but Shockley, that I'm thinking of her, and I'm sure Keith is, and in her memory. But he's feeling like she's there in the house with him, and that's a wonderful thing, So he feels open to this, and I think some of the experiences that he's had, that he's spoken to me about, that made him kind of really excited to be on the show, and talk about those things, because it's not a general, hip hop will talk about anything, but they usually don't talk about, there's been hip hop horror films, but they usually really don't talk about this stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Tales from the Hood, which is one of the greatest horror films of all time with Clarence Williams III, and I don't know, a lot of you sci-fi fans out there that love Matheson's I Am Legend. Well, the second version from the Omega Man, the woman who starred the Omega Man, that was her final film also. Can't even name now. That was her final film. So Tales from the Hood. It's another reason to like it. She plays the scientist in it, the female scientist. So
yeah. That's a good point. Go ahead. Sorry, Ian.
No, I was going to say, I said that movie has a lot of cultural points, but it's one of the few, specific hood-oriented horror. But there's not really that much paranormal stuff from the hood or in hip hop. It's a new avenue that could be forged.
This brings up a good topic, because you and I go into this show and you and I talk the day of the show. And one of the big things that we always discuss is, what are we going to talk about? And the past few times that we've had you on, we finally just said, screw it. Let's just go free and clear and let the audience kind of decide where this ball is going to roll. But you bring up a good point with Keith Shockley and bringing up the whole paranormal aspect, how you were even a little bit amazed that he would bite on that question that we asked him a month ago on the birthday show. Why is it, do you feel, that so many movie stars, so many music or musicians or athletes, absolutely stay away from anything to do with these topics publicly?
Yeah, it always seems, it does always seem that a lot of them do come around to it, but on the downside of it. It's like now you have that celebrity paranormal witness or whatever it is, where the celebrity tells celebrity ghost tale, whatever it is, or Rob Lowe doing his show, that ghost hunt show. They usually come back to it as a last resort, as a last gasp, to come back. And I think, that's why those shows are never really that popular, because people feel, why don't you do it? Why don't you talk about this when you were on top? Because, you have ones that have the balk and a career died. They get listed as a loon or a crazy. That's the thing. People are fascinated by the subject. You are actually experienced, and you could be listed as completely crazy, and it's a shame.
No, I totally.
Did you hear about Yaphet Kotto?
What's that?
Did you hear about Yaphet Kotto?
You broke up again when you were saying the name.
Yaphet Kotto. Did you hear what happened to him?
No.
So he was doing an interview about the new Alien movie that came out when it came out on home video, and they asked him if he liked it, and he said, he gave it a review that he kind of liked it, whatever, and was glad Ridley Scott back, and they got around to, do you believe in aliens? He goes, oh yeah, I've been abducted by aliens my whole life, and that I've been told that they're getting ready to make a reveal to the world, and that we'll know, the whole world will know the truth that I know very soon. And they went on to call him, because he's 70 years old now or something, they went on to call him senile and everything else, and laughed at him. And this is in the Guardian newspaper. He came out and said it, and it's like, well, he must be senile.
Yeah. You look at Sammy Hagar. We've mentioned that on the show back in his Van Halen days with the song Love Walks In. That's about a seventh dimensional being that actually popped into Sammy's room, and he's gone on record with Rolling Stone and other outlets, I think Billboard magazine as well, that he is a contactee/abductee. We have, Drew Barrymore. She has one of the biggest psychic stores in Los Angeles and has a huge clientele for psychic readings.
But you see, you and I have this similar thing where you talk about seventh level being. Now, if you said I saw a UFO or I saw an extraterrestrial, people would be more open to it. The fact that there's more to it than that. Like even in episode 50, I went through all the different kinds of haunts, intelligent, poltergeist, demonic, residual, and people laugh and go, "Oh, you made that up." No, that's real, And then people are, "Oh, come on," And that's the thing; it's just a haunting. What do you mean? How can something be intelligent? It's a ghost, whatever, And it's like your seventh dimensional being getting. That's what a lot of people even get more free. Like you're really freaky because you know what a seventh dimensional being and what is that? That's ridiculous. And actually, we're being more specific to help them understand, but it sounds crazier to them. So we are even more of a lure.
But do you think they don't bring it up? It's kind of like. It's kind of like, when you hear of people who have their careers ended because of certain things, okay? I think of the pilots up in Alaska, Ian, from Japanese airlines who lost their jobs after reporting in the UFO. I think
it happens all the time. Pilots in the military get grounded. If they make any of this public. This is going on and on. You know, the pilots forever in the 50s and 60s, and the airlines, if they mention a UFO, they get grounded and never fly again. You know, it's over. You can use a pilot's license. You know, it's really because they think you're crazy. I mean, it's hard. I mean, and it's also you're dealing with a lot of people. It's against religion. Like we are the only ones. We were made in God's image 5,000 years ago, and you know there is no others. And it's kind of it kind of affects people. You know, the hardcore religious people. Well, I give them their faith, and they can believe what they want. But it's hard to talk about this stuff about extraterrestrials if no matter even what the Phoenix Lights or whatever they want, they rather believe it's solar flares when solar flares look nothing like that. But they rather it be solar flares because then it would affect their faith. You know, and the sad thing about all of that is, if you investigate a little further, there is no conflict between faith and religion, because I say this all the time. The actual definition of how long a day is in the Bible, the word isn't even a day. In the original language of the Bible, which was translated wrong by King James, the actual thing is in the first age. So how long is an age? So science in the Bible, it's got no conflict. And dinosaurs could have existed 25 million years ago. There's no conflict. But we keep making this conflict between science and the Bible, so it becomes very difficult to say you've seen an alien.
Francie is quickly asking in Periscope, who's the most famous person we've had on this show? And that would be Brett Butler from Grace Under Fire, who is actually also quite renowned about being a psychic as well. So I just wanted to get that in. I want to get a question here from Trip in the Periscope chat room. He is asking point blank, do you think religion has a part of why popular people won't come out and admit their experiences? They don't want to upset their revenue stream? Okay.
Before I even answer that, I got to do a shout out because I promised someone.
All right.
I wanted to do a shout out to my girl here, sitting right here, Pam, and a special shout out to her kids, Hannah and Franz, who are listening out there. Franz is an up-and-coming drummer, and Hannah is just graduated from Villanova, so I want to wish her a happy graduation and good luck on her future careers. Now, back to
hold on. With Hannah there, is she dealing anything with aliens in university? We might be able to use her for the show. Does she like the aliens?
Well, we should ask her. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I ask her, and if she does, we can bring her back on the show. For the next show, we'll bring her on.
Perfect. Why not?
Yeah, and I bet I bet she's a huge ham. At least she is on her text. So I hear from her mom. So I bet she'd love to be on. So we'll save that and ask her that question next time. That sounds like a plan.
Well, we need to know about the aliens thing, and if Franz there is a drummer, he's definitely seen aliens or ghosts. You can't be a drummer.
Well, I'm very worried about Franz and promoting his drumming, because you know what happens to drummers, on Spinal Tap.
Spontaneous human combustion, my friend.
Exactly. He might just go poof, and that would make Pam very upset. I don't want her mad at me.
Well, you can tell him.
But by the way, both of them, I'm going to extend to them right now, because both of them haven't seen Spinal Tap.
That's sacrilegious. That is sacrilegious.
And Hannah plays piano and Franz is a drummer, and they haven't seen Spinal Tap. And I was so shocked by it that I gave Franz an original, the black cover, the original cover when it first came out, soundtrack from This is Spinal Tap. And I gave him the very rare, because how many fake bands actually put out an album, Break Like the Wind? An original printing of Break Like the Wind.
Now that went gold, did it not?
It did go gold, but it's not available.
I know.
It's very hard to get it. It's not even all of it isn't even available on YouTube. It's like you can't go and let the whole album play. It's so rare because it's like they're not like a real band. So it's like a fake band puts out a fake record and it goes gold. I mean, that's insane. And 10 years after the movie.
Terrible.
It's one
Terrible.
Of those,
you
it's
know,
one of those rarest of rare.
Here's a Spinal Tap thing that I don't, or little memento that I'm not sure many Americans actually know. And Ian, you probably don't even know this, but I believe it was year 2000 or 2001, maybe a little bit before that, that Spinal Tap, it was on Canada Day. Spinal Tap played in 4 different time zones on Canada Day. They started in the Maritimes, I believe in Halifax. Then they went to Toronto and played a show. Then they went to central Alberta, or pardon me, the Prairies, where it's a 2-hour time zone. Then they went to Alberta, where it's on Mountain Time, and then they finished off that night in Vancouver.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that movie is so influential. But, I mean, it's hard. People don't know. It's like Michael McKean, like Lenny and Squiggy, right? That was Lenny, right, on Laverne and Shirley. Christopher Guest, right, who, right, is from Spinal Tap, was one of the original writers of Saturday Night Live and is married to Jamie Lee Curtis, right? The drummer is the voice of Homer Simpson. How do you know that?
I know.
And they wrote all that stuff. I mean, they really wrote all the heavy metal stuff and the stuff from the 60s, the Flower Power songs that they did for the movie. I mean, it's just this wild combination of people. I mean, you're like when you watch Laverne and Shirley, Lenny is, I think he's Canadian. I think Michael McKean is Canadian. Absolutely, I think I think he's a Canadian.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. Now I gotta Google him.
You gotta check. We gotta check that. I can't say for sure, but I think I've heard that.
How do you spell his last name?
Wait, I got it right here. Hold on, I got it on IMDb. What is it? McKean. M little C big K-E-A-N. And I saw that without my glasses. That's pretty good.
All right. I'm going to find out here if he's Canadian or not. This is important. But nonetheless,
it would be a big boon.
Nonetheless,
he was born
he's
October 17th, 1947 in New York City.
Yeah, told you he wasn't Canadian. But nonetheless, so let's bring this back to the whole paranormal side. Why do you think, though, that so many movie stars and music stars, and you've been around, why are the what?
Answer this question.
What's that?
I said, no, we have to answer the caller's question.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let's do that.
Right? We have a tripped question. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to that. It's been a while, so let me just scroll back and try and find that question. Sorry about that, Trip. That's my fault.
That was the question you just asked. Why they didn't?
No, the question was, do you think religion has a part of why
religion.
Popular people won't come out and admit their experiences? They don't want to upset their revenue stream. I would think
it's the religion. Sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, what about Scientology, though?
Well, Scientology is specific, though, to a certain alien race, right? Even you look at Mormonism, what they call an angel could be an alien. Give them the gold discs, because we hear that aliens were hunting gold in the Mesopotamian texts. and all of that. So, I mean, there's a lot of connections between what an angel is. Angel by definition is some kind of otherworldly being. So could it be an alien? Yeah, but I think that also, you have liberals who are, atheists. So, an actor or a celebrity, and I can speak from experience. I try not to go publicly, too far to the Democrats or too far to the Republicans. I would disagree, and not, like I would say, I disagree with Hillary, or I disagree with Trump on this issue. I really don't go into the bashing or put myself out there one way or the other. So when a celebrity, if he acknowledges a ghost, then in some ways he's acknowledging, the existence of a spiritual realm, which then leads to, is that spirit how does that work? Is it that you acknowledging God, and are you acknowledging Jesus, or you're acknowledging, Muhammad, God of Muhammad, or, what are you, which God are you acknowledging? And no actor, no celebrity ever wants to get to that place. They want to remain as neutral as possible on everything, so they don't alienate any stars. I mean, look what happened. I mean, when what was it, 6 Days and 6 Nights? You remember that movie with Harrison Ford?
No.
6 Days.
Outside, excuse me, outside of the Star Wars and maybe Indiana Jones, I just wasn't never really a Harrison Ford fan.
Well, he was at the height of his powers. He was doing a romantic comedy with Anne Hesh as these two people that hate each other. He's the pilot, she's a rich woman, and they crash the plane. The plane crashes, and they're stuck on an island together, and they fall in love. All right, opposites attract, they fall in love. But it's right before the movie came out, Anne Hesh admitted that she was bisexual and she was with Ellen DeGeneres. No big deal, other than, hey, well, they're a couple, celebrity gossips. But a lot of people could no longer accept the fact, because it was all over the celebrity papers and every news article that she's with Ellen, no longer were able to willfully suspend disbelief that she was straight and with Harrison Ford. And it ruined the movie. And it killed her career for a long time. Because, then the debate started, can a gay person play a straight person? And if they're gay, do you lose the ability to believe a romance on screen? And there was all of that, and of course, the big joke is, the biggest womanizer on screen, Rock Hudson, was gay, and women couldn't tell, right? So, I mean, whenever you admit who you really are, you're always alienating someone as a celebrity. So if you don't want to admit to anything that could be controversial. I mean, that's why you get the non-answer answer, because politicians do the same thing. They don't want to alienate any voters. So you get that ridiculous speak. Baseball players, the same thing. Whenever you ask the question, he's a great pitcher, and I just got lucky on that pitch. You can't say, yeah, you know what? He threw a really bad slider because I knocked it out of the park because he stinks. The guy, every time he comes in, someone gives up a home run. No baseball player is going to say that. No one. They're always going to say, he threw, he's a great pitcher, and I just got lucky, and all of that. It's the same thing. You don't want to alienate anybody. And that's why you don't want to admit to anything, because you open yourself up to ridicule, to be laughed at. Tom Cruise got on a table and said he loved someone, and everyone wanted to make fun of him because he was in love, right? With Katie Holmes.
I remember that. He's still pestered about it. He's still pestered about it. But meanwhile, Matt Lauer, who was making fun of him, was
grabbing women and doing all kinds of nasty stuff and forcing women to have sex with him. And then when he broke up with them, he'd get them fired and all this stuff. But, Tom Cruise jumping on a table said he was in love with a woman, wanted to marry her. No, that's bad. Matt Lauer couldn't do that. He couldn't take that one. Had to make fun of him about that, So, I mean, that's why actors and all that try to remain as neutral as possible.
Mm-hmm. Could it kill someone's career, though? If you came out, Ian, and I realize you're more new age, okay? But let's say somebody like Martin Scorsese finds out that, pick an actor who's famous today, Chris Pratt, or someone along those lines comes out and says, I'm psychic, or I've been abducted by aliens, or, I see Freddy Krueger nightly in my dreams.
Well, I mean, look at Wes Craven. Wes Craven, had a tough time for a little while, even in his storied career, because when he did New Nightmare, he said, that Freddy Krueger was actually a manifestation of a dream demon who chased him in his dreams. That he got, and that it was basically a true story. And, people thought he was a little crazy.
But yet you don't hear people crapping all over Kurt Russell, who said he was the pilot who came out and called the control tower about the Phoenix Lights in 1997. You don't hear people cracking on him for that.
Because the Phoenix Lights were seen by millions of people. Something was up there in the sky. If he had said they were definitively alien, people, even people that see UFOs, they go out of their way. How many of us say it's not alien? We don't know if it's alien. It's just an unidentified ship. They go out of their way to make that point because they don't want to be associated with aliens. Bigfoot is always talked about, even by the people who see it as a real creature, even though all the Native Americans say it's some kind of spirit. It's interesting, or interdimensional being. You hear this stuff all the time, and then try to normalize it as much as possible. The biggest thing about it, it's like, look at, I can't think of his Kurt, what's his name on the Red Sox, the bloody sock.
Curt Schilling.
Right? Curt Schilling. He came out and said he was for George Bush. He supported George Bush. He supported the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. He probably got thrown off ESPN. And then later he said something about Trump, and he was gone. Because he supported Trump and the Muslim ban or something like that, or whatever it was, and he was thrown off the air. You every time you open your mouth with politics, religion, or any controversial subject matter, you're risking your career. Because believe me, there are a lot of haters out there, especially with Twitter and social media today. If an actor came out and said, I was abducted by aliens during the height of it, if Yaphet Kotto, after doing Alien, in the middle of the publicity tour for Alien, said I was abducted by aliens, do you think he would ever have made another movie?
Yet you look at Spielberg and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or E.T., and there is supposedly or allegedly a lot of reality in not only Spielberg's experiences, even though he's never admitted to them publicly, but it's assumed that, some of the reality in those movies is what's happened to a lot of people. I don't think it was just highly researched.
He took actual people's stories. He also mixed in, he used to watch the Leda meteor shower with his dad. He used to go out into the woods and lie down on a hilltop, in a sleeping bag and watch the meteor showers. He used to think they looked like alien spaceships. As a little kid, that's what he would imagine. So that scene wound up in Close Encounters, and a lot of people interpreted that he was lying. He actually saw UFOs. He wasn't. He was watching the meteor shower. He just said it again on James Cameron's, sci-fi series on AMC. That talking about the history of science fiction. He said it again, that he was watching the meteor shower, not aliens, but not UFOs, but he thought they were alien UFOs, and that's why, he put that scene in Close Encounters. So maybe he's not wanting to admit it either, because I think he's crazy. But it is interesting, that him and Lucas wind up doing the Crystal Skull thing, also with aliens. You could take, and then he did also War of the Worlds. I mean, how many aliens are you going to have? You know what I mean? I don't know. You can look at it a lot of different ways. But, I mean, a lot of this stuff is hidden. Like, look at Star Trek. I mean, Roddenberry. I mean, he came out for civil rights and, interracial romance and all that stuff, but never said it. He put it in an alien world, in an alien situation. So no one could accuse him of anything controversial.
I get that, but I mean, then it goes back to the whole conspiracy of Ronald Reagan watching E.T. at the White House in front of a bunch of people and then pulling Spielberg to the side and basically saying, paraphrasing here, how accurate E.T. really was.
Well, I mean, E.T. started as a sequel to Close Encounters. E.T. was supposed to be the little alien at the end of Close Encounters that does the hand signs with Francois Truffaut. That was the first draft. And, Spielberg talks about it again. If you guys are interested in this, it's the history of James Cameron's History of Science Fiction. Spielberg talks about that was the original draft. And then, it evolved from that, especially when Harrison Ford's wife, the late Melissa Matheson, came on and rewrote the script. So, I mean, she changed it, but Spielberg's first idea was, that's why the ship looks like the ship from E.T.'s ship looks like the ship from Close Encounters and all that, So, I mean, you can interpret all this stuff. I mean, you hear stuff about, Hillary Clinton's chief of staff, and you hear stuff about Bill Clinton and UFOs and their interest. You heard that Bill Clinton, I mean, I actually heard Bill Clinton. When I was a kid at NYU, he came and did a speech in Washington Square Park. I went to listen to him. And they asked him about aliens and UFOs. And he said he was going to, expose everything. Got in the office and he doesn't talk about it. And he says, he couldn't. He actually said he couldn't. What does that mean?
But he even said that said that on Jimmy Kimmel's show.
Yeah. And what about, Bush Sr.? He wanted to know the truth about Roswell, right? He said that. And he was the head of the CIA, and he wanted to know the truth about Roswell. So if he was telling the truth, even the head of the CIA doesn't know the truth about Roswell.
It is sickening nonetheless, and I can see where celebrities really keep quiet. I mean, I have a friend of mine online, her nephew plays in the NFL. He is psychic as can be, walks into her house, and he's like, oh, you got some new spirits in here. And she is quite psychic, too, and she'll be like, yep, what are you picking up? And they have this big psychic fest. But, I mean, he's a big, burly offensive lineman, like 6'5", 6'6", maybe even taller, and he's around that 340-pound mark, like the type of guy you wouldn't mess with. I mean,
someone to tell him he's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But
you know what? They'd probably say you got hit in the head, too many concussions.
That's exactly what would happen. Exactly what would happen.
Right, and you could, if you are, do you think? Come on, guys, let's be a little real here. Do you think that all the people that are from New Orleans that play in the NFL or on the Saints have never done anything with voodoo or hoodoo?
Exactly.
You think do you think every person in the NFL who's come from Dominican or Honduras or wherever had ever had anything to do with Santeria? I mean, it defies logic to think that, but they would never admit it. Because most people, because of movies, don't even understand that voodoo is actually the good magic. It's hoodoo that's evil. But no one ever uses the term voodoo. Zombies are not part of voodoo; they're part of hoodoo. Voodoo is just a mixture of saints and ancestors. The religion of from Africa and the religion of Christianity, Catholicism. It's just a mix. The mambas and all that stuff are just, and all of that. I mean, it's basically, you give up your body, you pray to a saint or a mama or a baron to bring your ancestors back, to possess your body, to give them life for a short time, and in turn, they grant you wishes or good fortune or whatever.
Right.
And that's all it is. I mean, it's basically, bringing your ancestors back to answer because they are of the other world. It's basically like bringing the consciousness of your ancestor back from the Akashic record to give you wisdom that they've learned there.
Let's get to
if you want to look at it.
Yeah, let's get to a question here from Renee. She is asking, is it possible that maybe some of these people prefer their privacy, though? Maybe it's just that simple.
Okay. Anyone that's a celebrity is a ham by nature. You want to be the center of attention. That's why you're in that business. You need that. So, anyone who's in this business usually doesn't want to be private. I mean, if you came to it by accident, maybe, but these people that I prefer my privacy, it really has nothing to do with that. It goes back to Brando. Brando and the early actors, all big actors, really believed as Hedda Hopper was becoming big and all this stuff, they were all ruined by celebrity gossip. So they believe. I was taught by Brando's teacher and Robert De Niro's teacher, Stella Adler. She taught us as actors to give away as little of ourselves as possible, because the more people know us, who we are, really are, and see us as we really are, the less types of diverse roles we would get. And you see that all the time. I mean, Pacino played a mobster, so everyone wants to play a mobster. Cagney played a mobster. They always wanted to play a mobster. De Niro's always playing a tough guy. How long did it take him to get established in comedy? Before they would even look at him for comedy. I mean, he did a lot of comedies, but they were always, none of them were really successful. I mean, he freaked people out when he did King of Comedy. That was a bomb. Nobody wanted to see him do it. Now we look at it and go, wow, it's one of the great movies of all time. But when it came out, it was panned. It was, he can't do comedy, and he was laughed. They practically laughed him off the screen.
Hey, Ian, I want to steer this in a different direction here in regards to movies and weird things that have happened on sets while filming. I think of the Poltergeist movies. Remember when the helicopter crashed and it was in perfect shape and it crashed and killed, 4 or 5 people, including a little girl. There's people who have said that when they've been filming horror movies, weird stuff just seems to happen. What stories have you heard? Can you share with our audience?
Well, I mean, we had a lot of stuff happen during episode 50. I could talk from experience. I mean, we were in a hospital in New Jersey that was closed down. And, we had hospital room doors open and closed, lights turning on and off. We heard screams. We've had wheelchairs just suddenly push off and go down a hall. We've had stuff fly off desks, those things when you have an empty hospital and you're basically creating a horror atmosphere, things are going to happen because I think a lot of this has to do, I mean, if you're looking at it scientifically, there is matter and there's dark matter, what we can't see. And dark matter is generally negative. So, and the matter we can see is generally positive. So you're going to have negative and positive ions, and you're going to create, by putting the horror out there, I think you just generate negative ions, which creates an atmosphere that attracts, stuff from the dark side. I think they call it the dark side for a reason, because it has to, as we find out more and more that dark matter exists, that when you say dark matter, I mean, that's the other dimensions and all the stuff that these spirits exist in or resist going into. So, I mean, on episode 50, I mean, there was a closed chapel, and one of our actors decided that to go into the chapel and to sleep in the chapel because it would be quiet and dark. All of a sudden, we're sleeping in the in the lobby, on the sofas in the lobby of the waiting room in the hospital, and all of a sudden there's this huge bang. A second later, one of our actresses comes running out of the chapel screaming. The cross fell off the wall. There's a giant cross with an image of Christ on it. Falls off the wall and falls down.
That would be scary.
Yeah. I mean, why then? Why that moment? Why were we were in the middle of shooting a horror movie? I mean, I was shooting a horror movie about real ghosts. And, this movie, the movie grew out of my relationship with, Paranormal State, who invited me out with them. And, it's involved with, the West Virginia State Penitentiary, and the discovery of the warden was a devil worshiper, and Charles Manson writing on toilet paper to the warden that he wanted to be transferred there because they discovered behind the warden, hidden in the warden's quarters, he's at a Bible study. Well, when we removed the panel from the wall, we discovered that there's an inverted pentagram in a hidden compartment in the wall. And it's a stained glass pentagram. And he wasn't holding Bible studies, the warden. He was holding devil worship ceremonies. And somehow Charles Manson found out about it and wanted to be transferred there. So we went to the archive. We found all these letters from Manson, and we put it up in the museum downstairs. But he sent all these letters on toilet paper, asking the warden to transfer him so he could join the Bible study.
That is weird. So when all of this paranormal stuff was happening, did you attribute it at the time to the movie?
Yeah. I mean, because we had stuff when we did Dr. Chopper too. I mean, that was an interesting, we laugh about it now, but it was interesting because when we shot Dr. Chopper, we were shooting it up in Big Bear at a resort, campsite in up near Big Bear in California on the West Coast. And, what was interesting was there was a South Korean prayer group there. But during the winter, the place was closed, but they decided to go there during the winter to pray. And they had no idea that we were making a horror movie. And then, you had naked girls running around with ball gags in their mouth and their arms chopped off and their eye popped out, and, they were appalled. And, it was like after you had that conference, like you had this perfect positive, negative ion storm, energy storm of the South Korean prayer group, Christian prayer group, and a bunch of wild, guys girls doing a horror movie. We were all young and crazy, and we were making this movie, and most of us, it was our first movie. We had murders and all kinds of stuff. It was we sat around and told ghost stories at night and tried to scare each other, so we created an atmosphere. But there were knocks on the door, opening the cabin door, no one there. We heard howls and things, and, people would go off into the woods to just, there's a path. They would wind up out at the lost, in the mountains up there. We'd have to go looking for them because they wandered off the path, and they had no idea how they got off it.
Ian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we got to step out for our first break of the night. Sorry about that, my friend. Yeah, we are already at the first break, man. Already at the first break. So you hold on tight. Ian Holt is our guest tonight. He comes in every second month talking everything paranormal, strange, odd, horror movies, and so much more. We're going to open up the doors to some horror after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back with more.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
There's news and there's the encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Beamer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Kathleen Martin joins us to talk alien abduction, UFOs, MUFON, and more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and the Deep Talk Radio Network, our brand new online home. Don't forget, you can also check out our archives for free. Yes, free. At youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only trade we need to make, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. Yes, that's a mouthful. Pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. is your password for tonight. Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. If you're wondering what the password is for, exactly. Now, if you want to go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, we are going to be revamping it here in the next couple of weeks. New logo, new look, new features, but we got some, like a real plethora of things on there for you. You can rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more at spacedoutradio.com. Ian Holt is our guest. He comes in every second month to talk and ramble about absolutely everything when it comes to the weird, the strange, the horror, the cryptic, and so much more. Ian, welcome back.
Good to be back. Hi, everyone. Hi, Dave.
Hey, I want to get into the horror genre for a little bit because it really seems over the last couple of years, it seems to be going, maybe it's just my view on it, and I know you're a huge, huge horror fan, but why does it seem to be going so underground again?
Well, there's two tracks. There are the horror movies that are relying more on jump scares. The movies that are making the most money ever since Paranormal Activity are not, our childhood horror movies. Now, there's a movement, possibly now led by John Carpenter and the people behind the new Halloween. They're going to try to move the horror movies back to a semblance of what they were. Gore, horror, mayhem, more than just something jumping out of the darkness. There's much more to the movies, like Halloween, or Maniac. And these movies, where we had, or Friday the 13th, there's some shock of the gore and all this stuff, which we've been trying to tone down, because of the fear of violence and reprisals and all this stuff and murders in schools and all these things and shootings. So people, have gotten more sensitive to it. But there is a movement to get back to it. Those films that are a little more violent, that are a little more old school, are finding or been moved to relegated to on demand and home video. And even that, the size of the budgets for those type of films have been cut dramatically, because when you go sell your movie in Asia, which is a huge market, and China, which is even bigger than the United States, they will not allow nudity. They don't want any kind of hyper-violence. So, you're more, or bad language. So you're moving more towards a PG-13 film if you want a big enough audience. So you have to keep your budgets down. I mean, you got to see it in the Unhinged, where a head gets lopped off, and they're like, nope, let the throat get cut. Don't lop off the head, too violent. And it won't sell in Asia. Or we got to shoot it both ways and make a different cut. So if you want your film to be a certain way...
Let me ask you this, though, Ian. Do you think that the copycat violence that we are seeing today is the result of horror movies? Is that what you're saying? Or is that the
No, that's
the fear?
What others say. I think the exact opposite. See, I think... my take on the 80s horror boom was pretty much the Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, the kids that got beat up and picked on go to a horror movie and they see the pretty girl, the most popular kid in school, the ones that are having sex and, that are on the football team, the captain of the football team, the captain of the cheerleading squad. They all get killed first by Jason. And it's the good nerdy girl that survives. And it's always like the good nerdy kids survive. Or even if they don't, it's Jason killing all the popular kids. Freddy killing all the popular kids. Right? That's what it was about. You know, it was always Revenge of the Nerds. Look at, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. You know, they all had their other visions of themselves.
That girl kicked ass in Dream Warriors, man. She kicked ass in Dream Warriors.
By the way, I just want to say, if you're listening out there, Heather Langenkamp, Heather, thank you so much for the like on Facebook. I didn't know you were a fan of my stuff and my novels and my movies, and it was really, really nice to get your friend request. And, of course, I said yes, and I hope we can chat someday soon because I am a huge fan of yours, too. So I don't know. I got a big surprise when Heather Langenkamp asked to be my friend on Facebook, so I was very excited.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was very nice of her. I think that you see all these kids, they get their revenge, and they get their jollies out. I mean, you know, the nerdy kids who were picked on go to see a horror movie, and they get their release in this fantasy way of them getting their butts, you know, the kids that pick on them, the popular kids that pick on them, getting their butts kicked. I don't think they have that release today. You don't get that. Horror movies don't follow the same formula as this 80s formula anymore. So what you wind up with is guys going out and beating people up or picking up a gun in a lot of ways. I don't think you get the cathartic experience of feeling someone's out there on your side. That's why Freddie, Jason, Michael were always idolized over and over again. You know, look at the success of the movie The Final Girls. They're all nerdy, nice girls in the movie, but in real life, oh boy, they're just as bad as all the other girls that get killed. So when the fan finds them out, he wants to kill all the final girls because they're really just like the girls, the bad girls. They're not good girls. They're really bad girls, right? That's the cleverness of it. We're all now postmodern horror.
I understand that, and I appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, what you're saying about how horror movies, are inflicting or inciting violence in some sort is almost the same way as using the video game theory.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, but I think the video game theory is different in the fact that it desensitizes violence. It makes it like violence is it's not painful because you can hit the reset button. In a horror movie, when someone dies, they're dead in the movie. That was the thing that I hated about The Force Awakens. All these people die and nobody, not even Chewie has a moment of simple reflection on the death of someone. I mean, you look at, when Ben died, there's this whole moment before Han Solo comes running through, and out of this kid. It was Luke going, I can't believe he's gone, and Leia comforting him, and the sad John Williams music playing. In video games, you don't have any of that. You just hit the reset button. In the movies, in the horror movies, you're dead. But it's the rooting for the death of the kids you can't stand. If you're getting picked on by a football player and the popular sports kid, the athlete in Friday the 13th gets killed, you're like, yeah, good. And you feel better. You feel like you got a little something out of it, but it doesn't desensitize you to the violence. I think video games, you just hit the reset button and you're back to life. And so many people die in a video game. You're blowing people up left and right. You're totally desensitized to it.
So what's
your
opinion then? What's your opinion then, Ian, of this video game company actually making a first-person video game of shooting up a school?
I think that's sick. I think that's sick.
I'm gonna get you to move a little closer to your microphone, bud.
Oh, I think that's sick. I think it's really sick. I think that you could argue that for kids that want to shoot up the school, that they could get their jollies off on the video game and not do it in real life. But I'll tell you this. I think if you set up a scenario like that desensitizes kids to ultra violence, you're going to wind up with that 1% of people that that are going to look at it as a training ground and look to do it for real. And I think I'm not willing to sacrifice one life so that I can play a video game, so that 99% of the same people in the world can play a video game. I just don't think it's worth one life.
Who's the most underrated horror film star out of the genre of the 80s, 90s? Because we always hear about Michael Myers. We always hear about Freddy Krueger and Jason. Who's the underrated one? Who's the underrated killer?
The underrated killer. Well, I always think it's Maniac. Joe Spinell. I mean, his portrayal of the Maniac was one of the most influential, exposés of excess in the 90s. I mean, you look at all the movies in the 90s, The Secret of My Success, and all the yuppie movies, and Bright Lights, Big City, all these movies, right? It was always about get rich, spend money, look great, buy consumer goods. If you don't have a girlfriend that looks like, Polina Porskova, and you don't really have a girlfriend. She's ugly, She's got to be perfect. Everyone's got to look perfect and sound perfect and wear the perfect clothes and go to the perfect club and drive the perfect car and have the perfect job, right? Look at Wall Street, right? Everyone wanted to be a yuppie. Make more money. It's what it's all about, right? But Maniac, Joe Spinell, crater-faced, overweight, with a mother who was a hooker. They used to lock him in a closet while she slept with men, and he used to beg her not to go out, and he, he doesn't have a great job. He's a janitor. He's got no money. He's overweight. He's creative-faced, and yet all these commercials are telling you can't have a woman if you don't dress right, look right, all of that. And he winds up going around killing pretty women. Society created this monster because he can't fit in. And, that Maniac character is the precursor. A lot of people, I won't say that I agree with this or don't agree with it, but it's the precursor of white rage that we see that elected Trump. A lot of it's Joe Spinell foresaw all of it.
And here I thought you were just going to go with somebody like Pinhead, who I think is highly underrated.
No. He is highly underrated, but the reason he's highly underrated is because after the second film, or the third film, the series went downhill. So, it went to home video. It did, those movies did not, there was a lot of them. They didn't make money after the third one. So it's Freddy, right up to, New Nightmare made money. Michael Myers always made money until the second Rob Zombie movie. That was the first bomb. That one in Halloween Resurrection, which caused the first Rob Zombie movie. So, out of all of them, two of them didn't do too well. And Halloween Resurrection did make money, but, you had all of them eventually, start to die out. But I think again and again we've proven that the sustainable horrors are the simple ones. And Maniac, why I think Maniac sustains itself. You even look at the poster. There's a hidden, I don't know how many people have ever looked at the poster of Maniac very closely, but he's holding a woman's, cut off scalp in one hand, a knife in the other. And if you look closely at his crotch, through his jeans, he has a raging hard-on. Now, that made it one of the most controversial posters because it got past the censors because they didn't notice it. Once it made it, if you have the Blu-ray, you will see all the news stories of women tearing down that poster, painting over it. saying how violent towards women it was. But the movie, yes, there's a lot of violence towards women in it, but it's driven by media. Media's created this unattainable. Women don't want just any man anymore because they're told by media what man is right, and not every man can reach that, so he can't get a woman. So he rages against the women, and then he winds up with a Bond girl, Carolyn Monroe, and who likes him. But he's so screwed up from his mother because she was broke out of wedlock, and a hooker, that he can't get. He tries really hard to not kill anymore, but he can't because he's so damaged. So, that film is so influential. Plus, Maniac is the most underrated horror film. Now, this is a decade before Hannibal Lecter. And if you watch the footage from Maniac 2, the 2 weeks before Joe Spinell died, that he was shooting already, Maniac 2, he starts killing other killers, other people. He goes after, other killers and people that are annoying. And, you could see the beginning of Maniac 2, where it was going, that he was now taking this character who raged against the media and started to go after rude people, and you see the beginnings of Hannibal Lecter in that footage on the Blu-ray. So, and remember, Joe Spinell, all right, is a New York actor who was he played Chi-Chi in the Godfather movies. He was well known in New York. He was the one who helped Sylvester Stallone get Rocky to Robert Chartoff and Erwin Winkler, got Rocky made. He wrote Maniac as a love story about an overweight, crater-faced older guy, right, falling in love with a beautiful fashion photographer. And including the Rocky producers, the underdog Rocky producers, right, the big underdog producers, nope, that never happened. This is before Frankie and Johnny, the play. There was a play called Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune, which is about a fat woman and a ugly guy get together and have this great romance. There was Kathy Bates. That's how her career started. She went right from that play on Broadway to Misery. And I don't remember if you remember Animal from Hill Street Blues. Well, he was Johnny, and when they made the movie, he was played by Michelle Pfeiffer and Al Pacino. So, but that's why Maniac is such an influential film for me. Also, it was the coming out party for Joe Spinell. Tom Savini. The makeup effects in that movie are incredible. It was the first time we had a real shotgun blow up a head in a movie. He used a real shotgun to blow up a head, almost an anatomically correct head that he made of himself.
Weird.
Yeah, but Maniac is like my favorite horror movie. It is without a doubt the horror movie that really gets to the nitty-gritty of what horror is all about.
I want to get to a question from Rick in our chat room here. He is asking, Ian, do you think movie makers using film as a form of soft disclosure on the paranormal, making certain issues more mainstream?
No. I think there were filmmakers in the 70s, like The Legend of Boggy Creek, Hangar 18 by Sun Classic Films, In Search of Noah's Ark, that before we had cable with, documentaries every 5 seconds, on every channel is a documentary about this stuff. And you have Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates, and you had all this stuff. It was everywhere. But back in the 70s, I think there were filmmakers who made films and became filmmakers to expose some of this stuff to us. I don't think it's so true now. I also think that there were government usage of Hollywood directors during World War II, and whether that relationship continued in a wag the dog kind of situation, or information about UFOs, I couldn't say. I mean, you hear stories that it did, but I've never seen any proof of it. Word news stories created but is Hollywood actively trying to sift out or the truth about aliens or Bigfoot or anything? I don't think so. Hollywood today, I mean, what it really is, when Hollywood was old, it was like the real Warner Brothers and those first filmmaking giants were artists and businessmen, and they created this incredible business and made incredible films because they were also artists. Today, the studios are all owned by corporations. They don't know anything about artists, so they hire mostly, young executives out of Harvard and Yale Business School who don't know anything about making movies, and you basically wind up with, film made by marketing. What's marketable. So it's the idea that you could make a film that would try and expose something today. It's all about money and the bottom line and what the stock price is It's really sad what it's become. In the independent world, there are still artists that try to make films that'll say something, or try to expose or push a certain point of view, but not in Hollywood.
I find that very interesting because I tend to lean the other way, Ian, in thinking that there is potentially something to do with Hollywood and the disclosure movement, whether it's UFOs or whatever. I mean, back in the 70s, 80s, you didn't see outside of maybe, The Thing or the Alien franchise of movies, you saw a lot of positive ET related type movies. And now, over the last 20 years, including, Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton story, which was absolutely butchered from the real story by Hollywood, I think there is something for Hollywood to gain in a message, especially when it comes to, say, something like ETs.
What do you think they're trying to say with those films? I mean, they're trying to soften us up for a revelation?
Quite possibly.
But, I mean, in all these films, the ETs or whatever, I mean, the whole, you look at ID4 and even Fire in the Sky, the science isn't right. Nothing's right in them. And most of these are like butchered movies. I mean, look at Communion, what they did to that movie with Christopher Walken. I mean, it's so. I think it's so haphazard. I mean, what was Spielberg trying to say with the War of the Worlds?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Outside of Spielberg, there seems to be a real negativity when it comes to even Paranormal Activity.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, that may have been all horror films get bad reviews. In fact, if you're doing a horror film, if I get a good review, I'm worried if the movie's going to make any money. I want a bad review. I mean, Paranormal Activity got bad reviews, but it was that commercial shot from footage of watching the movie. It was designed to be a jump scare film. It made a fortune. I mean, all these things are, they're not. Remember, it was $100,000. It was $12,000 movie. Paranormal Activity. Sold for $2 million, and then Spielberg dumped $25,000 back into it to reshoot the end. You know, and it fixed some special effects. But I mean, you have to look more, I would say, at movies like Amityville Horror, which was an independent documentary on, on Lorraine Warren, who, with the oldest son of the Lutz family. Now, I mean, I know Lorraine, and I know that, she really believes that she didn't exorcise the demon for the Amityville Horror House, and that's the demon that got its revenge by possessing Son of Sam, and created the Son of Sam killings, the revenge for being, that she believes that she failed. And now she goes very close to that in the documentary, but she doesn't go there. But she talks about, that the Vatican had her exorcise the house, and the demon that was in there was so powerful that they sent her a relic cross with a piece of the wood of the true cross in it to fight this demon. So, I mean, there are films being made outside of Hollywood that I feel have much more impact and putting out more truths than what's going on in Hollywood. I think Hollywood's very haphazard, and if they were really trying to lay the groundwork, I think they would be more faithful to a movie like Fire in the Sky. Fire in the Sky was a long time ago.
1994, to be exact.
Yeah.
I want to get.
I mean,
go ahead. Finish up. No, please.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think Hollywood could find its own ass in a bag of asses, most of the time. So I think, them trying to pull something together, I would think more of an independent movement towards it, independent directors who you don't know where their funding comes from, where it could come from from the Koch brothers or whatever, that are going to fund some, propaganda movie.
Well, I mean, we've seen enough of those. I mean, look at every Tom Cruise movie in the 80s. Right?
Or Top Gun, 2 that's just started shooting. What is that going to be? Is that going to be pro-war, jingoistic, or is it going to be, anti-war? What is it going to be this time? Should be
no idea.
How
no idea.
How they look at the books there. But all these things, I mean, we've always had propaganda films. In World War II, we had tons of propaganda films. Look at Green Berets. They called John Wayne, please help us. He made Green Berets. Nobody went to see it. Right? It got terrible reviews. But he was trying to save the Vietnam War. We've always had propaganda films, and I'm sure the government asks for them. But I don't think, even if Hollywood was influenced by anything in the government, they sure haven't been, very successful at it. I mean, look at we brought back V, and they couldn't even get that right on television.
I remember that series absolutely scaring the hell out of me. The first incarnation of that.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, it was Nazis in World War II, and and all wrapped up into even the sequel, the last V, the final battle, was just fantastic. I mean, it was like when and Freddy Krueger's in it as a nice alien, but I mean, it's like when she her mouth opened and she ate the rat. I mean, it was when the spaceships first arrived over the cities. I mean, it was some of the most awe-inspiring, television we've ever seen.
Gail is asking a question. She says, "Hello, Ian."
Hi, Gail.
And she is asking, Ian, do you ever wonder if you are opening yourself up to dangerous entities from the horror genre?
Oh, I've been doing that. my God, I've been doing that since I'm a little kid. You know, I think I've told this story. You know, I gotta, whenever I tell a story, I gotta thank Jason Horst for figuring it out for me from Ghost Hunters. But he went back with me and, you know, sifted through my memories, and I realized when I moved from Brooklyn to Long Island, this is before video games, guys, before cable, you know, so you only had a few channels, and I didn't know any of the kids. I didn't know anybody, so my grandmother bought me a bunch of board games that I could play, and none of them I could play by myself. I had to have somebody, and I didn't know anybody yet. The only thing I could play by myself was the Ouija board, so I used to go in my room at night and play with the Ouija board. And then weird stuff started happening. You know, doorbells would ring and nobody would be there. I'd hear banging, weird banging, and, you know, things would move on their own. You know, like I would leave something somewhere and it would be somewhere else when I got back. You know, so they really believed that I opened the door as a child for this. You know, by tracking something through the Ouija board and not knowing to close the door when I was done. And that opened me up to a lot of activity. I have never seen Bigfoot. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen an alien. But what I can say is I've had numerous, over years and years, of seeing, you know, ghosts and other spooky stuff that deals with, you know, the afterlife and things like that, demonics. So I've gone to New Orleans. I've asked to be possessed by Baron Samedi. You know, I've had experiences of possession. So and this is like a loud possession, not like, The Exorcist. So, you know, it's a little different in New Orleans for those of you that are not familiar with what a mamba does. And so I just, you know, I've had plenty of those experiences, and I think that they've shaped me, you know, as a person, you know, into what I believe. But those experiences opened me up to believing in your experiences, Dave. You know, it's like you had experiences with Bigfoot. Well, how could I deny you that experience, even though I've never had it, when I know what the experiences I've had? So I think whether you're an experiencer in one field or another of supernatural, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, you accept other people more generally.
Now, Trip has a question. I'm going to save that for just a little bit because I think we're going to open up a little bit of a can of worms with that one. But do you have any thoughts, Ian, on how horror movies or action movies are influencing the reports of experiencers?
Yes.
I think of the movie Signs, because I remember when the movie Signs came out, even in my hometown, which was, you know, there was a lot of farms around, and people were making just these horrid crop circles in the cornfields.
Well, here's how how movies influence these things. Okay. So, you have TV series like Ancient Aliens, and they get on TV and say, the spaceman, in fact, by calling it the spaceman on the Nazca lines, is proof of an alien. When you go on Wikipedia and you look up the Nazca lines, they don't say spaceman. They call it the human. Now, I'm sorry. That human doesn't look like any human I've ever seen. And, you know, you could call it a humanoid, but they go out of their way to call it the human. Not spaceman, human. And it doesn't look anything like a human. It looks like a guy in a helmet, space helmet. So you can call it, if you wanted to say it's not a spaceman and it's not a helmet, well, then it would be a humanoid. But they don't go there. Wikipedia calls it a human. Why? Because it's a UNESCO historical site. UNESCO historical site has to be approved over and over again by the mainstream scientists. So, yes, you will see the resistance to how movies and movies portray things. Our minds read things. So we're influenced by what we see on TV. You see Spaceman on TV, you look at it, you see a spaceman. Where if you didn't see that on the History Channel and just looked at it like the first, or you didn't see In Search Of as a little kid and see it was a spaceman, you would look at that and see, it looked like, it looks like Mr. Bill. I mean, if you guys are old enough to remember Mr. Bill on Saturday Night Live, this little Play-Doh creature with round eyes and stuff and a round head that always got bashed on TV. That's what the spaceman in NASA looks like, Mr. Bill to me. I wouldn't think it was a spaceman. I think it's a spaceman because I saw it on TV. It's the same thing in movies. When you saw Close Encounters, everyone wanted to join the Watch the Skies Club, right? And wanted to meet an alien and see an alien. When you got War of the Worlds at ID4, everyone's like, they're coming to get us. We got to be ready. Should we make contact? Became the question that people discussed. I mean, you had big astrologers saying, stop SETI. Why are you bringing them here? They could be, if they can get here, they're way more advanced than us. They could wipe us out in a heartbeat. Why are you sending signals out for them to find us? Even in Voyager, there was a big controversy over what to put on the gold disc, because what if they could find us? Who are we inviting here? Like Childhood's End, they could look like devils, and maybe they will be. And you bring up the crop circles. Okay, everyone's got all these crappy crop circles, but we now know what a crop circle is supposed to look like from that movie. Crop circles are very big in Europe and England, but they happen here, but they're not. People are so sure they're fake because some guy walked out with a board and made a crop circle. Some guy walked out with a fake Bigfoot, made big feet. But when scientists look at it, they see the ridges and they see how the stalks are broken. They see the ridges in the foot. They can tell which ones seem to be a real animal and which ones seem to be, there's no way that a knuckle on cannot be crushed. You have a bent knuckle, it's not bent down. It's like there's a certain way that the real crop circles, when they examine them, they can tell which ones have been pressed down and which ones haven't. They look different, especially under microscopes. So, we are influenced by signs of what these crop circles are supposed to look like. If they do them well enough, people are going to copy them, and then you got to get down to the nitty-gritty science for what's real. But our minds fill in even faces in the sky. Like there's this whole movement about, aliens are all around us in the clouds. Now, our minds have been proven in scientific studies that our minds are trained to define faces. So these faces that we see in the clouds are actually our mind making it that way, filling it in. So our minds already do that naturally. So when you see something in a movie, you're more apt to think of it and believe it. If someone sees a bear quickly in the woods standing up with its hind legs, oh, it's Bigfoot. Why? Because I saw it on TV what a Bigfoot looks like, where it might not be Bigfoot. I'm not saying that everyone's wrong, but I'm sure there is a percentage of sightings that are actually bears standing up. And I'm not saying that people are lying. They are absolutely convinced they saw Bigfoot because their minds are already thinking that, because they heard someone else saw Bigfoot in those woods, and they saw Bigfoot on the animated version of it on Finding Bigfoot, and then they think they see Bigfoot. I think it's a perpetual thing where film influences. I mean, look, UFOs were in the paper, and then the paper, in the 50s. Oh, I saw it looked like a saucer for a coffee cup saucer. So it became flying saucers, and everyone saw flying saucers. But we know there was cigar shape and all different kinds of triangle shape, but everything was flying saucers because it was in the paper as a flying saucer. So everyone saw flying saucers, and then the flying saucers were in the movie. There's bells, we have bell shapes, we have all kinds of shapes. We don't actually have many flying saucers, actual flying saucers. So of course there's influence.
But is that influence, much like we just talked about earlier on in this hour about video games and copycat type killings, is that influence that is coming through, does that have any sorry, text message from the wife. I'm pretty sure there is a cougar outside. Wonderful. I love that text message.
Oh, no, how nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now,
and I don't think that's I don't
set by the government to silence us.
No, that would probably be a real four-legged critter that has really sharp teeth. Oh, yes. Yes, but anyways, where I was going with my question is that influence that everybody is having and on experiencers. Do you think then that maybe certain people who are not having experiences, Ian, are having them because of watching these movies? So really,
yes,
they're not.
That is for sure. Yes, I think that happens all the time. I think earnest, well-meaning people are seeing things, and it happened to me. I was a kid. I saw Close Encounters, and they had Robert Hyland's Watch the Skies Club, and I wanted to join. So my mom said $5, and I got this kit and a number to call if I see an alien or whatever it was for the program of the Close Encounters movie. And I sat there with I had my dad buy me a pair of binoculars. And I sat out my window and I watched every light in the sky, whether it was a shooting star or a light from an airplane. I was a blinking light from an airplane. I was convinced it was an alien. I even called the Long Beach police because I was so convinced I saw an alien. What I was seeing was planes, because where I lived was right near JFK, so planes would circle, when the weather was cloudy, whatever, or they got backed up, you'd see these lights going in slow circles around, and I was convinced they were UFOs hovering and watching us. So I was influenced as a little kid, by the movies that I saw of what, and the TV series of what spaceships are supposed to do that are watching us. Like I specifically remember, watching some documentary, and you had the spaceship over the nuclear missile silos circling, and that circular motion of it over the silo in the documentary made me think that the circular motion in the sky, they were watching. And where I live on Long Beach, you have these tankers, oil tankers lined up. They were watching our fuel supply. That was what was going on in my head. They're watching our fuel supply, right? That was all influenced by watching movies, in search of documentaries on UFOs. So of course, yes, I think it happens to a lot of people. And I wasn't like lying. I was just filling in the blanks, influenced by what I've seen in movies. So I think a lot of people it happens. So absolutely. I think you could probably, I asked you guys out there to get on the phone lines or on the chat rooms and say how many people thought they saw something and they're not really sure what they saw, or they influenced, it looked like something they saw in a movie. I think a lot of people would call and go, hell yeah. I think it's happened to a lot of us, especially as kids.
So here's the update on the cougar. And the wife heard it when she got out of the vehicle. So it's either in the front yard or in the backyard. She wasn't sure.
Well, I hope she's in the house now with the door locked.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My dogs are big enough. My dogs are big enough where they would scare the cougar right up a tree. I got big beasts for dogs. I'm not too worried about it.
Oh, you need them out there.
No. You know, wrong kind of cougar. I prefer the Vegas cougars. Don't tell Mrs. SOR that, though. But nonetheless, just had to give the cougar update. We got about 6 minutes here before we got to go to break here with you, Ian. And, you know, that influence, though, I always wonder about that, too, because whether it's paranormal, whether it's aliens, whether it's Bigfoot, it just seems that, you know, we get to this 15 minutes of fame stuff that people just, you know, maybe they're downtrodden, maybe they're lonely, whatever the situation may be. You know, we always see these people who just want that 15 minutes of fame and will try and do anything in order to get that attention.
Well, you know, that's when you're making it up. But there are people that are earnest people that, you know, have visions of what things are for movies and stuff, and then see something very quickly out of the corner of their eye. Their brain makes the connection and fills it in, and they swear they saw it. I mean, you see a broken log, you know, in Loch Ness, you swear you just saw Nessie. Because you know that she's supposed to be have a hump. Maybe it's where a branch broke off and it looks like a hump with the light reflecting just right. Or remember, the water's black, so it reflects back from the sun and creates all kinds of effects. So, not that the person's lying. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But you know, your brain fills in what it already thinks it's seeing. You're expecting to see it. You go there looking for it, you'll find it.
Well, you know what? I always look at that as, you know, the situation I've dealt with people in the paranormal field, even up here, who said, you know, it's just like this movie. It's just like that movie. You know, and you know they're getting their information somewhere because no matter what, they cannot let it go. It almost becomes like a psychological type problem.
Well, I've never seen a ghost depicted in a movie correctly. I mean, the ghosts I've seen are, I don't know, if you ever look through a microscope at an amoeba, and it's like this luminous kind of outline, it's like see-through, and you can see an outline of a person. It's not really like a real, you know, filled-in person that at many times that I've seen, at least down in the residual haunts. You know, you can get more definition in an intelligent haunt, but you know, most poltergeists don't even materialize. So I mean, you know, people go, "Oh yeah, I got this ghost in my house." It's a poltergeist. No, because you saw the movie. No, they don't materialize. You never see really poltergeists. You see residual haunts are like a faint image. The intelligent haunts are more defined. They're like shadows almost. You can see definition in the shadows. That's why you always hear about shadow people. You know. So I mean, you know what we, you know, most people, you say you see a ghost, they see a skeleton. You know, remember in the 50s, everyone saw white sheets. Everyone thought ghosts were like these white sheets. No, that was the TV. That was where it was on TV, the white sheets. Where did that come from? Because Casper the Friendly Ghost? I mean, what came first? I don't know. But no, I never saw a ghost that looked like a white sheet. But a lot of people thought they were, you know, they were seeing white sheets. Even till to this day, little kids put white sheets on, put holes in it, and they're ghosts. That's not what a ghost looks like at all.
You sound pretty pissed off about that. Ruining good sheets in order to portray a ghost.
I do, yeah, because the ghosts don't look like that at all. Then we got to, you know, in 1930s, we got the Alistair Sim, the Christmas Carol. You know, and you had these gaunt ghosts, like, you know, you just put a guy there with a gaunt face, and you know, and the chin wrapped up, and the bandages, like, and all that. It's like ghosts don't look like that either. You know, but then everyone saw ghosts that look like that.
getting quite a few comments about the potential cougar in the yard. So what happened here? Just a quick update. Okay, what happened here? Because I live in the middle of nowhere. I guess Mrs. SOR was getting little SOR out of the vehicle, and the street down below ours, she heard the cougar growl or roar or something like that, give its cougar, meow type thing. And so obviously the cougar has wandered through here. But here's the cool part, and Ian, you'll like this, because I have a ghost in my yard. His name's Rick. All right? Rick, no, true. His name is Richard. He goes by Rick.
Really cool.
Anyways, Rick and I have
it. Would mean his name is Richard, which you could call him Dick, but I won't go there. Go ahead.
No, he's really cool. I've seen him twice.
Cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, I've seen him twice. And anyways, I know this sounds a little far-fetched, but when the second time I saw him, we literally, I happen to have a psychic from New York on at that night, and she was describing my house to a T. It was actually kind of eerie. And anyways, long story short, we're communicating with Rick after the show, and I said, "Hey, Rick, do you want to go to the light?" He goes, "No, I really like this yard, and I'd like to stay here." I said, "Okay, that's not a problem." I said, "I need a favor. I need you to keep the bears and cougars out of my yard." And he goes, "Dude, look where you live." And I'm like, I know, but I got the little guy. And I really don't want him getting attacked. And I haven't had a bear or cougar in my yard since. So I'm not too worried about it.
Well, I think that's really cool, but, what if that wasn't a real cougar? What if it was something else pretending to be a cougar? And I think I know what that other thing was.
Sasquatch? Is that where you're going? Are you leaning with Sasquatch?
No.
All right.
Garden gnome.
No, you didn't have to go guarded gnomes, you jerk.
Gnome pretending to be a cougar to get at you for all the bad stuff you say about the garden gnomes.
Oh, you're bad. Ian, I got to put you on hold. We're going to go to our final break of the night. We got another half an hour with Ian Holt. Then we get to Everett Themer and the Thought of the Dave and the Encounter News of the Day. Coming on up in hour number 3. Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. Ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Kathleen Martin joins us. We're going to talk about alien abduction. She is the niece of Betty and Barney Hill, by the way. UFOs, MUFON, so much more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, including our brand new affiliate, Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can also check out our archive archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button on that. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. Yes, pseudo-hypoparathyroidism is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to check out our website, spacedoutradio.com, we are in the process of revamping absolutely everything, including, you got a plethora of features of Bumblefoot rocking out with him. You can do that. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Ian Holt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He comes by every couple of months. He's a movie producer. He's written the sequel to Bram Stoker's Dracula. He won an award for that. Done a bunch of things. Worked for MTV Raps. Been a DJ in New York. This is a man of many, many hats. We got Ian for another 30 minutes. He's also going to stick around for the news section on the encounter with Everett Themer. Ian, welcome back.
Hey, Dave. Hey, everyone.
Good to have you back. Hey, I was holding off on this question for this half hour because, I mean, we could eat up a lot of time with this one, probably more than the next 25 minutes. But Tripp has a question here. When we were talking about movies and the influence that movies have, he says, what about black and white movies of going to the moon? Now, I got that pretty quick. I'm sure you got that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Do you think the moon landings were faked?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I mean, you have, you know, Buzz Aldrin making irrational reactions to punching people in the face, which usually says to me psychologically that, you know, he's hiding something, because otherwise you'd laugh it off and just say they're crazy. But like he said, you know, if it was happening to you every day for, you know, decades, maybe you'd, you know, snap at some point too. I mean, I don't know. As far as the imagery, I mean, it's real interesting that there's no stars, you know? I mean, there's no stars over the moon. That's the thing that really gets me when I look at it, the footage. I mean, I guess I could buy the waving flag by the wires in the flag. I mean, because, I mean, if you're familiar with how they made Superman's cape move in Superman the movie, then it looks very similar to what the wires in the flag would look like. I mean, so you know, I don't know. That's a hard one for me. I go back and forth on it. You know, I think the bigger question is, are there structures on the moon? And that imagery that you see all over the internet, and the you know, the Nefertiti of space, where they find this female alien in a crashed spaceship, supposedly this stolen footage from NASA, you know, on the surface of the moon. And, you know, you look at the pictures that NASA actually shot of the moon, and you see these structures. Now, if those structures are there, I mean, the barren landscape of the moon in the moon landings, you know, makes you wonder, did they choose a place that was so remote that, you know, yet they say that if they were going to land, you know, other people say they landed and went and visited the structures while the cameras were off. Well, you know, you have two competing conspiracy theories. So I don't know what to believe. I mean, that one really always stumped me, because I'll look at it one time, it'll look completely real. I'll look at it another time, it looks fake. And the thing about it to me is, they're not really as good as the special effects in 2001. So is that on purpose? Was NASA not as good at it as Hollywood? I don't know. And then when you see Capricorn 1, it really freaks you out. So I don't know what to think.
I don't question the moon landings. I think they did happen. I think that there is a possibility that maybe some of the footage didn't turn out the way it was supposed to, so they may have had a studio built just in case in order to kind of recreate what was actually happening on the moon. But I'm more on the moon side of, they may have had to cut out on some cameras because of aliens there. I mean, there is the yeah. I mean, there is the alleged line of Neil Armstrong saying, they're here, they're on the hill, and they are watching us.
Yeah, and the glowing orb and that they saw and things like that they all talk about. Since they got back, that the cameras and the sound was shut off for what happened on the dark side of the moon. All those stories. I mean, we kind of have conspiracies competing conspiracy theories going in every direction with the moon. So I don't think we've had a definitive answer that I could lean one way or the other yet.
I'm still not sure of it. I am still not sure of it. I think it's more to do with extraterrestrials up on the moon rather than we didn't go to the moon. I have a real beef with that, but I don't think that the moon landings were faked at all. I think we did get there.
You hit it right on the head. I agree with you 100%. The pictures of structures on the moon are much more compelling to me, satellite photographs of the moon, and on Mars. And the figure hovering over the Mars lander, the shadow of the human being, of the astronaut hovering over the Mars lander, is much more interesting to me than whether we went to the moon or not and whether it was faked or not. Because structures on the moon, and the different density and how the moon was formed from one side of the moon to the other, and where these structures are in comparison to the density of the crust, finds it very interesting, where some people actually believe the entire moon is a hollow base. I mean, a lot. I mean, you look at the stuff online. There's some really compelling scientists who talk about that the moon shouldn't exist and it doesn't make any sense, and the way it would have had to have been formed, and you really start. I mean, when you just listen to the science of it, I mean, this is what had to happen. I mean, our Earth had to be hit at just the right angle not to destroy us, and knock out enough material that eventually congealed together to make the moon. I mean, it was 1 in a million shot. I mean, that the Earth got hit at just the right way to create the moon and not destroy us. And we didn't wind up like the rings of Saturn around Mars. So, I mean, it's pretty, the science of it all is really interesting. It seems much more realistic to me that, there's something about the moon that was brought to our planet in some way. If we were part of an experiment, stabilize our planet's rotation and create our gravitational field and everything like that, that made conditions perfect for life. I mean, is it just coincidence that we got water, and then that water gets infested by algae that creates oxygen over millions of years and gives us an atmosphere? That we have a electromagnetic field, that Mars lost its atmosphere because it didn't have an electromagnetic field? I mean, it's so many coincidences of what would have to happen for this planet to be totally naturally formed. Even the tides that are so necessary to our planet because of the moon. It just seems like it's so perfect. And yet you think, again, on the opposite side, you have billions of stars out there, billions upon hundreds of billions. So even if we are 1 in 100 million, the odds of our Earth being like this with a moon is 1 in hundreds of millions. There's enough stars out there for at least 2 or 3 planets with life. It's all, when you get out into space, how you try and justify it, is the thought of the enormity of it too, the enormity of space and what it would take to get here, to get to another star. I mean, they would have to be so far advanced than us. That's why, you wonder sometimes, vibranium or unobtainium, whatever it is, you wonder if there's another element out there that, that someone's going to bring to Earth that's going to give us the ability to create the energy we need for space travel to go beyond light speed. Somewhere we're going to find a dilithium crystal, because something we haven't seen yet, that we don't know about yet.
You still there? Because all of a sudden your phone seemed to go a little weird.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm right here.
All right.
I'm just contemplating. I'm contemplating the, this idea that, what's real and what's not. It's like, well, I mean, it's like the idea that they could be faking it all. The idea that they could be faking it all is a little bit beside the point if there's aliens out there. I mean, if there are structures on the moon, then that's our answer. So them faking it and trying to hide it, or faking it and trying to make us cooler than we are to take on Soviet Union is back then is irrelevant to the point of if there are aliens out here watching us. That's the way I think.
I think we got time to slip in another question here for you, Ian. This one comes from Rick, who is asking, Ian, do you believe that popular movies or lines, etc., have changed over the years due to editing or the public misremembering them, or is it a case of the Mandela effect?
Wow. I wonder about that all the time, because I swear there was a line that was this way and it's another way. When a filmmaker changes something, okay, here's a simple thing. There are things that go on, like if you see Nighthawks, I mean, you remember Brown Sugar in the soundtrack to Nighthawks. They're dancing to Brown Sugar. It's in the trailer, you remember it, and now it's all gone. Well, you just find out that in the new Blu-ray that's coming out of Nighthawks, that Brown Sugar was cut from the soundtrack because they didn't want to pay the royalty, and now they've paid the royalty and they can use the song again, and the scene has been restored. You find out, like the Gloria Gaynor song, I Love the Nightlife, I Got a Boogie, from Love at First Bite, wasn't in that movie for decades. Now it's back in the Blu-ray release. They paid for it, the restoration of the film, right? So our memory, yes, can be, like the most famous of all is Han Solo, not shooting first, and of course the stupid fix for it in his Solo movie, which really made me laugh. But yes, we do re-edit, but all that has a paper trail usually.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a lot of famous lines, like the Forrest Gump one, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Where it's now apparently life is a box of chocolates. Lines like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and there are filmmakers that tinker with their films, and you would see that, like Michael Mann is notorious for that. There are 5 or 6 different edits of Manhunter around, and you know, of Miami Vice as well. And he doesn't announce them all. But for those fans of the film who buy it every time it comes out, there's a record of it. There's usually a trail. So, I mean, when something's purposely edited, there's a trail, and yet there are some lines that we still, you know, always think are one way, and now there's something different. I personally think there is something to the Mandela effect.
Or are we just misremembering? And because public sentiment, I mean, it's like music lyrics, okay? I mean, how many of us, you know, heard the song Blinded by the Light wrapped up like a douche instead of wrapped up like a deuce? You know, I mean, it wasn't until a couple of years ago I found out that it was actually deuce. You know, I mean, it could be the same way, and that's not really Mandela effect. That's the public seeing it one way and not really paying attention to what it really is.
Well, I mean, James Cagney never said, "Ooh, you dirty rat." You know, he never said that in any movie. Never even close. But yet, that's the line most associated with him.
Weird.
I mean, that's the crazy
weird.
thing. He never said that. Yeah, never said it in one movie. Why would anyone does a James Cagney invitation? The first thing they do is, "Who you dirty rat?" You know why?
I have no idea.
I mean, that's the stuff that and it wasn't like there was television back then. So you had, Paul Lynde or somebody did an imitation and it stuck. You didn't have that back then. So where did everyone get this, you dirty rat, from?
But we see it in everything. I mean, I know in hockey, okay, the legendary hockey player Gordie Howe had what they called a Gordie Howe hat trick, which was a goal, an assist, and a fight. Yet in over 1,800 NHL games, he never had a Gordie Howe hat trick. You know, I mean, it's just weird how people play up on these types of things. And is it all hype-ian? Is it just hearing what we want to hear? Or are we so in want of being, part of the in crowd that we're just taking what other people say rather than actually listening to it for ourselves?
I mean, it could be, but it seems that it would have to be some kind of mass hysteria for everyone to hear it that way. I mean, for everyone that remembers it, every 100 or thousands of people that remember it one way, there's one guy that remembers it the other way. And there's one guy that didn't get the effect. But how is that happening? See, I don't think, Hollywood, there's a pretty easy way to trace all this stuff, even if they don't announce the edits. So it's not Hollywood generated. I know Hollywood's the root of all evil, but it's not from Hollywood. It's Mandela effect. It's the other things. Because if you go and get the first DVD of Forrest Gump, right? It says on there, life is a box of chocolates. It says that on the DVD. I have the first issue DVD when the movie came out. So there was no chance, unless they changed it from the theater to the DVD, but people would have noticed that because it came out right on the heels of the movie. The movie was still playing in the theater when the DVD came out. So if there's another version of it, where is it?
No idea.
And you got to know also, I've never checked. I now have to go back and check the trailers. All the trailers for Forrest Gump, because many times you have a scene in a trailer that's unfinished. So we see the trailer over and over again, and then there's no record of when the movie comes out, it's changed for the trailer. There are always scenes in movies that are in trailers that wind up getting edited out of the movie. And we're like, where's that scene? And there could be dialogue, different takes. It's said a little differently. The take they used in the trailer, because the movie wasn't finished being edited yet when they made the trailer, they used a different take in the actual movie. But because we've seen the trailer, by the time the movie comes out, more times than the movie, we remember the trailer, not the movie.
Well, it's funny because I always remembered when the movie Dumb and Dumber came out, there was a scene in the commercial where the dog van hits a bump in the road and goes flying and the ears go flapping, yet that isn't in the movie cut.
Yeah, because it's probably in the trailer. Just in the trailer. They cut it out of the movie.
In the trailer.
Yeah. That happens all the time because trailers are done so early today, especially with a big movie like that everyone's anticipating. The next Jim Carrey movie was a highly anticipated thing. You wanted to get the publicity out on it as fast as possible. So when he was so big at that time, they rushed the trailer out. And as they cut the movie for time, for pacing, and all this stuff, they cut little things out.
Right.
So everyone possibly remembering the trailer.
I want to get to Rick's thoughts on a few that he believes he has heard. The blonde girl had braces on her teeth when Jaws sees her. In Moonraker, Jake's bond making, it's funny, etc. Or it funny, etc. Now, no braces.
The girl has braces through the whole movie.
Build it. Well, apparently he's saying now she doesn't have braces. If you build it, he will come, not they will come on Field of Dreams. Just very strange.
Yeah, because, they will come. Yeah, there's a bunch of them like that. And you wonder, again, I'd like to see all the trailers. Because a lot of times, again, movies, when they come out on DVD or whatever, give you the last trailer. Now, when you get a big special edition release, like Terminator 2, when it came out in the steel case, you had every commercial and every trailer. So you could track, which scenes were in the movie and which scenes weren't. Now, some of the scenes that were edited out were in the early trailers that were later then put back in for the special expanded edition. Even in the commercial for Aliens, you had some scenes that were in the expanded edition, the special edition, that were in the early cut. Same thing with The Abyss and Titanic. So we remember things from the early trailers. I'm convinced a lot of it is from the trailers. And then I think, I don't know. Part of it could be what we want to hear. A lot of times the movie drives us towards thinking something, and I guess our human psyches are kind of in a way that we have enough shared experiences of movies that if you've seen enough movies, you kind of know, you can guess where a movie's going. So, whether we hear he will come or they will come, isn't he will come more of a religious connotation? So people that are more religious might hear he, because they're used to the second coming and and all of that. So the spirituality comes through, the mysticism of the music and the scene and and all of that could influence it. There could be a lot of things. I'm not saying that's it. I'm just saying our minds work in weird ways. I am excited. This is a new thing.
Yeah. You haven't been around for the news portion yet.
No, this is my first time. I'm a news portion virgin.
Well, you know what? It's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. And we always love to
Pop my cherry, baby.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Normally, we don't allow the guests to stick around for that portion, but you're a little bit special because of the whole May 24th thing, even though you're a year older than me, but we're still damn good looking. The main thing, I mean, the main
I'm also
thing.
a year wiser.
True, because on your 45th birthday, you didn't eat a one-chip challenge test.
That's right.
But we're
And by the way, I got a bone to pick with Google. Google has me listed at 54 years old for some reason.
Really?
Where did they get that date? Who gave that to them? I didn't.
Probably one of your fans. Probably one of your fans.
Who wrote my Wikipedia page?
I don't know.
Who wrote my Wikipedia page?
Anybody could write a
How do you get
Wikipedia
it changed?
page. You just have to go in there and correct it.
If anyone knows how to do that, please contact me. You know my Facebook page. You know where to find me. Let me know. Do that. I got to go. I'm totally illiterate on this Wikipedia thing. It's so complicated, it seems.
Buddy, you hold on. We're going to get to the thought of the day or the news with the encounter with Everett Themer right now.
With Everett. Where's Everett?
This is the winter of our lives. We come to play the final scene. The curtains close and in the darkness we expose what lies beneath.
We are encountering the encounter tonight with Everett Themer and Ian Holt as Everett takes us around the world looking at the weird and strange news of the day, and that's why we call it the encounter. Looking for our news online. Right now you can go to our Facebook page and find it at facebook.com/SOR The Encounter. Give it a like if you don't mind. Everett Themer, thanks for coming back on the show. How you doing?
I am doing great, and it's always fun to be on with Ian.
Isn't it? Ian.
Hey, Everett, it's good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear you, too.
Ian's that guy. You know what I'm saying? Ian is totally that guy.
He is. The first time we talked on the phone, we talked for like 4 hours about a dozen different subjects.
Yeah, that was a fun call, man. Then we looked at the time, we were like, Zoink? What?
Oh, I hear you. I absolutely hear you on that. Everett, you got some good news for us today? And when I say good, I'm saying some weird, wacky, zany, funny, WTF type news?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is sort of go down a little bit of a sad route.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Ingram. He was a pioneering AM top 40 DJ based out of Long Island. He died in Florida. He died in Florida this weekend at 83. He had been diagnosed with a variety of different health problems, but he died choking on a piece of steak.
Wow. What kind of steak?
I think that's a little irrelevant, don't you?
Well, no, and I'll tell you why. I mean, God bless him. First and foremost, may he rest in peace. But there are a few ways old Davy would like to go. All right? And having a good, tasty piece of steak would be one of them. I mean, the choking part wouldn't be fun. But that would be I could think of better ways to go. I think we all can. A heart attack while making sweet love by the fire to Barry White playing in the background? Of course, that would be a perfect way. Right?
I think the bigger story here, and Ian, I'm sure, is a bit familiar with him from, living in New York. But
absolutely. But I think the title would be
Ian.
Death Steak.
Death Steak. Death Steak.
That's terrible. I brought this because I think it's important to recognize and remember some of the people in the field. But I mean, from the early 60s to the mid 80s, he essentially defined top 40 radio.
Yeah, I mean, he was our predecessor. I mean, he was our forefather on the radio. I mean, he was at a time when radio was playing the hits, top 40 hits, and records were selling, and people were buying 45s, and you could buy the single or whatever. Or, what I remember most about him was you'd want him to get on to play the top song because I was sitting there with the record pause button on my cassette waiting for him to finish talking and the song to come on so I could press pause and record the song for free instead of downloading it off the internet for free, to get it on radio for free and make my mixtape.
But he really kind of perfected the idea of talking over the intro and bringing some humor to the intros of the songs, and always kind of knew exactly when to stop and let the song just go ahead. And I think that basically every DJ in music today kind of imitates that.
Yes, and I want you to know, I have dozens of cassette tapes from when I was a kid with half a word from him or a word from him, because you're always trying to guess when he's going to stop talking and hit the play button just right so you don't have any talking even though the song's already started. I mean, so I have one word from him on dozens over and over again on dozens of cassettes.
So he's the guy who started that. He's the guy who, during the 80s, when we all remember when the double cassette ghetto blasters came out, and we were all, sitting there with fingers on play and record at the same time when the song was coming up, and you hoped for a clean version so the DJ wasn't speaking. He's the guy who ruined every cassette tape, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he's the guy that you had to go. That when Danger Zone came on and went right in, right, he would be talking right over that, and you'd miss the opening of the song. Or when Shakedown from Beverly Hills Cop 2 went right into the song, and he would be talking over that intro until they started singing the first verse. He'd be talking.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? God rest his soul. A good career. Anybody who can last in radio that long is not only a legend, but a survivor, considering the way corporations have taken all the legendary voices off the air. Getting somebody to retire on their own terms in radio today is very, very tough. But, that's what happens when you don't have a good medium rare cut. Next story, Ev.
Hey, for the next one, we're going to take a trip down under, where a 53-year-old man checked himself into the hospital, experiencing some numbness in his leg and some stomach pain and some nausea. And it turned out that he just needed to take a really big poop.
What?
And this is why I did not go to med school, because the doctors had to perform a manual fecal extraction, which I'm not positive exactly how that's done, but I never want to do one. And they removed about 2 liters, or almost a half gallon of we'll call it fecal matter, out of his bowels.
How does that happen?
Okay, well, I'll tell you guys the truth. It can happen, because I know this happened to somebody. Driving back from New York City, there was an accident. He got stuck in traffic at a place where the traffic wasn't moving at all, because they had to rescue the guy, and he was there for hours. And he held it in so long that it went up and got impacted. And he wasn't able to go, even for days afterwards, because it was so compacted in there that he had to go to the hospital in the emergency room and get some kind of enema to get it out. So that could happen to you from sitting in traffic for too long when you have to go.
Now, I heard there was a young girl a couple of years ago in the United States who had such a phobia. She was young, like 15 years old, but she had developed such a phobia from toilets that she refused to go. And after not defecating for like 2-3 months, it killed her. It absolutely killed her. And that's too bad.
Well, there's also the new trend now, eating cotton balls. Teenage girls eat cotton balls to fill up their stomach. And a lot of them can't pass it, and it clogs them up.
Doesn't water fill you up relatively well?
Coffee?
Well, you know, most people, you know, I had a friend of mine who told me that when he was a kid, he would drink water with buy a loaf of Wonder Bread and eat a bunch of Wonder Bread and drink water because to fill up his stomach because they didn't have enough money to buy food for dinner. So the idea of the cotton balls to when you're you're worried about your weight because you want to look good and you're going to fill yourself up with cotton balls and then block off your intestine, your small intestine, then you're pretty much crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you got to eat cotton balls. But that's
are you sure they're? Are you sure they're just not mistaking the cotton balls for those rice cakes? I mean, they're about the same, aren't they?
Rice cakes are more like eating drywall.
Or maybe they think it's bitty cotton candies.
I don't know. Really don't know. Just sounds disgusting to me. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be gross here, but just drop the deuce already. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Get things going here.
Well, sometimes you just can't.
That's what X-Lax is for.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that can take care of that.
There's an app for that.
Well, there's an app for everything.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Everett, final story of the night or second to last story of the night?
I try not to pick on Florida, but they open themselves up to this stuff so much. There's a viral video going around of a man riding on the hood of a vehicle at about 70 miles an hour down the highway, talking on his cell phone while holding on to the edge of the hood. And people believe that he's talking to the woman who is driving the car.
I've seen that video, and I'm still not sure if that's real or not. I really don't know. I realize it's captured by another vehicle, but I mean, it just seems weird, man. 70 miles an hour holding on by one hand. I don't get it. I don't believe it.
I understand, but I'm not going to use other media as reporting it, but it just seems legitimate to me. Maybe it's because it comes out of Florida and you never know what to expect coming out of Florida. But I kind of buy it.
You know what? It's like, if you want to be that stupid, be my guest. If it is true. I mean, it's like, it's like, do we really want to promote people to be riding on the air, doing stupid stuff like that so they can get a hit video? I mean, with most downloads or subscribers, I mean, I actually feel sorry for them if that's their 15 minutes of fame.
That's true.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it is sad if it's fake, but my spidey senses tell me that there's something legitimate behind it.
Well, no, I'm the opposite. If it's fake, I would at least say, okay, you fooled everyone, good for you. You know what I mean? At least there was a purpose behind it. But to risk your life for a video, to get a hit video?
If it is real, though, what kind of fight were they having that possessed him to climb out of the car and get on the hood while the car was moving?
So many questions.
I mean, why did guys jump off the roof of their house to do a pile driver on a kid that's lying on the lawn?
Oh, that's different. That's totally logical to me. Totally.
I've done that.
Come on, Ian. That's just part of growing up. I mean, today's kids who are bubble wrap kids, they don't get that enjoyment of, climbing up off the tool shed or something like that and jumping, onto the kid with an elbow to the sternum because, they're actually driving the elbow into the sternum. That was good times. Toughened us up a little bit.
Today's kids are going to kill themselves tripping up the stairs.
Tide Pods. Licking toilets. Whatever they are doing now.
I don't know. I never licked any toilets. I never ate any Tide Pods, but I did play in the mud and do and eat stuff off the floor if I dropped it, and I'm not dead yet.
Me either, man. Me either.
Hey, I got to ask, do you guys like hot dogs?
My son.
Oh, don't even mention hot dogs. I've been banned. Pam does not like hot dogs. She will kill me if I eat hot dogs.
Why? She's already taken control
Doesn't
this
like
quick.
Hot dogs.
You've been dating her like 3 days. You've been together 3 days.
I promised I would not eat hot dogs.
You eat kale now, too, don't you?
Oh, he's definitely a kale chip guy.
No kale. No. I don't like hot dogs anyway because I don't know what's in them. It's like chopped up stuff. I don't know.
What's next? Vegan pasta?
No. Well, pasta is vegan.
I'm saying with the sauces and the vegetables now.
That's vegan.
Exactly.
Unless you have beet sauce.
How can you live so close to Coney Island and not like a good Nathan's hot dog?
Well, Nathan's moved. There used to be a Nathan's. I'm in Long Beach, 2 towns over is Oceanside. There used to be a big Nathan's with an arcade. They closed it. They moved it to a little store far away, and you can't get a Nathan's hot dog anymore. Now the only hot dog you can get around here is either from the deli, which they charge an arm and a leg for, which I won't pay for, or from Burger King. Now it's those hot dogs. Who wants a Burger King hot dog?
Oh, Burger King should have never got into the hot dog game.
Never. But, hot dogs are very bad for you. They're very high in sodium. They've got all this stuff that's in them that's no good for you. All this. You ever read, like, the package of a hot dog, or even an all-beef hot dog? The listing of chemicals that's in that? It's horrific.
Okay, but would that hot dog be healthier for you if it was packaged in keto-friendly water?
No. I mean, it's just hot dogs are just like hot dogs have always been. Even before when they first started out, it was the lips, the anus, the ears, the eyelids, the lip. Like the what do you call it? They called it the back of the foot, all ground up. Intestines. I mean, it was disgusting.
So you and I go to a Yankees game at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. You're not eating a hot dog and having a beer with me.
Hell no, we're going to Yankee Steak and getting a freaking porterhouse with the Yankees symbol seared on it.
Oh yeah,
he says that.
Go ahead.
But I smell a kale smoothie in the works.
Oh yeah, he's a kale smoothie.
Kale smoothie?
Oh yeah. Everett, we got time for one more.
Okay, well, let's go along with this one. The reason I brought up hot dogs is out there in Vancouver, a gentleman boiled 100 hot dogs in water and then packaged the hot dogs in bottled water and sold it as keto-friendly hot dog water. Marketing it as... Huh?
That is something that would happen in Vancouver. Totally.
Well, you people are crazy out there. Mm-hmm. But he was marketing it to prove the point of making crazy and insane health claims. He claimed that because it was loaded with sodium, your body processed it as sweat easier, and your body didn't need to work as hard to process it. He made all kinds of health claims just to see if people would pay almost $40 a bottle for water. and people did.
Did he sell out?
I don't know if he sold out, but he sold a majority of them.
So in other words, he was a snake oil salesman.
I know a few of them.
Technically, he was a hot dog water salesman.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
I stand corrected. Actually, I sit corrected.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Gentlemen, we're going to get to the thought of the day right now. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where during the day we put a question on my Facebook page and the Spaced Out Radio Twitter account, and we look for your response that we could read on the air. So today's Thought of the Dave is, tell me the first thing you would do if you could shapeshift. Think about that for a second. If you had the ability to shapeshift, what are you shapeshifting into? I'm not even going there right now, because I would probably choose a hockey puck or something like that, because that's just the Canadian thing to do. I'm not going to be a donut because I don't want to get eaten. Let's see from Ian. Ian Holt. If you could shapeshift, what would you shapeshift into?
I would definitely shapeshift into a werewolf.
You are that guy.
I am that guy. I'll tell you, I love wolves, and I want to run with the wolves. I mean, when I was in Romania, and we were in the Carpathian Mountains, and you walk outside your hotel room, and a pack of wolves go running by and howling in the trees and stuff. It's really, exhilarating.
Wolves are brilliant. They're a brilliant pack animal. You know what I like? I don't know. I don't know if they're like that down south, but up here with the wolves, if you see one, you don't see the other 9 or 10.
No. If you see one, get the hell out of there, because that means he's left the pack behind. He's old and he's starving. So if you see a pack, it's counterintuitive. If you see a pack, they're not going to harm you. Wolves have no interest in attacking us. If you see one, then he will attack because he's starving. He's too old to run with the pack, and he's most likely starving. So when you see a pack of wolves running by, you are safe, unless you're a chicken.
True that.
Not like a chicken afraid of them, but I mean a literal chicken.
Well, let's take a look here, gentlemen, at some of the responses we got from our audience. James comes in. He goes, I want to become Jesus so I can screw with people's heads. Oh, that's not very nice. That's not Christian at all. Not Christian at all. Stephen throws the first shot of the day. I'd turn myself into a gnome. Why, Stephen? Why a gnome of all things? It's just pure evil.
I think you should stick the mountain lion on him.
I think so. Jeff says, I would shapeshift myself into Skinny. Everett, I wonder which Everett said this one. I'd travel around the world supporting my adventures by winning bar bets. Very, very nice. James Clarkson, who used to be MUFON State Director of Washington State, says, I'd become an eagle so I could fly. Aaron, I'd be Skinny. Cat, shapeshifting. It is a deep question, actually, a single answer or picture into someone's very soul. I think I would at first use the ability to torment people with absurdity that defies any form of logic and really just screw around with people altogether. I can't help it. I love watching people do stuff and seeing them in a confused state. It would be hilarious. Beautiful humor.
I want to know the guy that's going to tell the truth. And he's going to shapeshift into a woman because he's really a lesbian trapped in a man's body. Think about that.
Could very well be. On Twitter, Kim states, try to communicate with the dogs first, then save the world in the shape of a giant monkey and a form of bucket of water. That's awesome. She's going to clean the world. She's going to scrub. Ian Holt says on Twitter, Dave Scott sucks lollipops naked in sensory deprivation chambers. I don't know what that means, Ian.
I'm stealing that for a later date.
Somehow I don't think that involves the thought of the Dave, and that's what I get for saying it and reading it cold. All right. Canadian Joe at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. I'd shapeshift into a Zarkosian and scare the crap out of our Keith Andrews. Goddess Michelle, all the way in Nova Scotia. Well, I would find out where some live news cameras were and hide behind a bush and turn into a gray alien, make an appearance, then run to the bushes and change back. Then repeat the action over and over. This is after I, of course, message you with what has happened to me. That is brilliant, Goddess Michelle. Brilliant. Might be the best one of the day. Here's a good one, guys. The Yeti guy on Twitter. Me personally, I would take a shapeshift as a CIA officer, sneak into the top secret areas and expose all the secrets of UFOs and all cryptids. I would hand you personally the secrets of space, Dave. No more question of existence. Ooh.
Oh, but could we trust government documents from a shapeshifter?
I don't know. We may have to take that chance. We could get a lot of egg on the face there, gentlemen. Sita says, I would shapeshift into a dude and get busy with my new toy just for research. You know, oh my goodness. Probably shouldn't have read that one. Probably should not have read that one.
I give her credit for being honest.
Oh, yes. Okay, we got a couple more here before we got to start wrapping this thing up. Edie jumps in. I'd morph into a sexy, fit 25-year-old. She's redheaded, too.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Chuck states, not sure if it would be the first thing, but for sure in the top 10. I know a lot of places I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Oh, that would be nice. That would be very nice. Renee, I would
Unless someone had a fly spotter.
Yes. Renee jumps in. I would change into my cat and sleep at the edge of my bed all day. That's a good one. Adnome jumps in. Get everyone with the ability to fly to British Columbia and gnome out at Dave's house. That's just terrible. That's just absolutely terrible. That's where we're going to wrap things up. Ian Holt, Everett Themer, thank you for the encounter and a wonderful show for tonight, gentlemen.
It's been a pleasure as always.
And Ian, you will be back on August 28th, Tuesday, August 28th. Thank you so much, buddy. And
I'm so glad. I can't wait. And I enjoyed myself thoroughly as always.
And
thank you to everyone out there for all the questions.
No problem. Everett, you will see you tomorrow night?
You certainly will.
All right. Tomorrow night on the show, Kathleen Martin joins us to talk about alien abduction. She is the niece of Benny and Barney Hill. We're going to talk UFOs, MUFON, and more. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thank you to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. A big thank you to everyone watching on Periscope.tv. You were absolutely amazing. Thanks for chatting it up. Everyone on Spreaker, thank you so much for playing along. And everyone on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Hey, Marty, your beard looks fantastic. Your goatee too, Jeff. And, of course, the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, led by the Ukrainian Watermelon tonight. Thanks for sharing the show. Thanks for telling your friends and doing your part to help us get bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good one, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night.
Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you